guys, Calxiyn here. If you guys enjoy this video, you guys should subscribe, become patrons over on Patreon to support the channel, and you guys should join our Discord server if you guys enjoy
Avatar and all our different videos.
I'm glad Hunter knew what video we were doing because I was already there for a second. So we are talking about Avatar today. We're going to talk about Season 1 because as you guys can see from our reactions, we have watched it. I guess it's
I've already watched it several times because this is the master and the student in Avatar.
Thanks.
And so like everyone knows about Avatar
so,
at this point.
I guess I want to split this up in a couple different like categories. Like first, I think the plot. At first I was sort of like, well, what the fuck are we doing? And then like, it's pretty straightforward. You gotta go to the North Pole so someone can teach you waterbending, but it didn't really click to me until the very last episode. Oh, this book was called Water, and at the very end, he mastered waterbending through the koi fish. Like, I don't know, there was just so many sort of sidetracks on the way to the North Pole that I sort of forgot that that's what we were heading to. But I think now that I grasped that for the first season, the other ones are going to make more sense. Like, I'm guessing I think the next one is Earth, right? And then the last one is Fire. And so, here's my prediction, I guess. And so, my first thing is that how do I explain this? Like, the Earth one is gonna be obviously like, let's go find an Earthbender, but that shouldn't be too hard because there's the Earth Kingdom, right? So there has to be something else that is stopping them from like doing things all season. You know what I mean? And obviously at the very end we see
well, there is a war, so presumably it's the war.
Well, you know, but I'm saying there's lots of Earthbenders around, it seems like. You know what I mean? And so it shouldn't be too hard to learn Earthbending, and obviously you have Toph, and that's sort of all I know.
So you do know about Toph?
Well, I know about Toph because of the death battle.
Oh. Okay.
What was she fighting against?
Gara from Naruto. Sandboy. So
Was it?
Yes, it was. I'm pretty sure. I'm curious because like you know that Avatar is a classic. It's beloved by anybody. You hardly see anyone say anything bad about Avatar.
Well, hold on. I'm not done yet. Okay, calm down.
Oh well,
okay.
Because so like what you're gonna predict something for a show that's 10 years old.
I'm just assuming that we go Toph stuff and she'll teach Aang or something. The girl will do things like I don't know. The girl she'll start hunting the Avatar because like the Fire Lord's like, my son is a disappointment to me or whatever. And so Azula is the girl, and so the girl seems like a sadist. Not gonna lie. Remember when we see Zuko fighting his dad? Like, she has this giant smile on her face. She looks like she relishes in other people's pain.
Yeah, she's a motherfucker.
So, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that she's a little... Anyway.
Quirky.
Sure. And so, I'm assuming that how things will go. Okay, and so this is my guess. Because I know things, but at the same time, I don't know anything. It's like, they'll see Toph, the girl will fight, Zuko will be there, it'll be a thing, but the Fire Lord that Aang starts to learn from in the last season is gonna be Zuko and Iroh, because Zuko's just gonna be like, well, we gotta go kill my sister, so I guess we're just all on the same side now, like something sort of like that, where maybe he'll get like a redemption arc, because he doesn't seem bad, and we talked about this with She-Ra, but it seems like Zuko just has like hard daddy issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like he wants to impress his father. He wants to not be banished, right? And so he wants to unbanish himself. The only way to do that is getting the Avatar, but maybe as the season goes on, he'll realize that what people have been doing to get the Avatar are bad, like invading entire nations, destroying people's culture, killing a koi fish. You know, Zuko may be like...
That's the word.
Genocide. And so maybe Zuko will be like, you know the fuck what? Y'all are fucking crazy, okay? I'm gonna help the Avatar and then I'll be king, so fuck you. I can see that as where that would go.
So now that you're done predicting a show that's been off the air for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm curious to, so like, you had an understanding
so I wanted
of
to talk
things
about
that
plot.
happened.
So the plot was waterbending, we got sidetracked. Waterbending.
It's an adventure show. I think the first season more than anything is an adventure show.
And so we did that. And so now I guess character-wise, I was very annoyed with Sokka for the first couple episodes. I was
Sokka grows on you.
I hate him. I was like
a
he got better.
On the bottom
of
the ship.
What episode was it where he was just sexist?
Oh, it was the Kyoshi Warrior.
And so...
But then he started drinking that respect women juice.
It's sort of weird because the Northern Tribe has some respect women problems. and it's sort of implied that the Southern tribe doesn't, but then Sokka's also kind of sexist.
Well, but that's Sokka's maybe idea of, like, his father was a warrior.
Yeah, and so I think that it's not necessarily, like, the tribe ideology. I just wish that they would have remembered that, because, like, it would have been maybe interesting if, like, not to give too much away, I guess, but if Sokka was like, well, in the Northern tribe, like, I've heard great stories, like, I don't know, but I think it was, like, yeah, his dad went off to war while everyone else stayed home, and so he sees kind of, like, maybe the men as the ones who get to actually do the fighting. And it's not sort of a men versus women thing, it was just sort of like, well, I couldn't go off to war because I was a boy and you're a young girl, so what can you do, sort of thing. And so after that, after we got past that, I feel like Sokka was much more enjoyable. And I found Sokka saying stuff that I said like 5 minutes ago eventually, and I was like, oh,
Sokka's very much so like the id of the show.
Yeah, and lots of people compared him from to Tyrion from Game of Thrones as I started watching.
Tyrion's a little more witty and
I
has
was
a little more
just sort
baggage.
of like, when the Tyrion comparison came up, I was like, no fucking way, okay? Like, this guy's an idiot. Right, not an idiot, but I didn't like him. I still wouldn't say he's up to Tyrion's level, but I get where the comparison comes from. You know what I mean? Sokka can't really fight. I mean, he tried.
He's
okay. He's alright. But it's sort of like Tyrion. Tyrion's alright, somewhat, but not really. You know what I'm saying?
He killed a guy with a shield that one time.
Yeah, and so it's sort of one of those things where it's just like, I see where the comparison comes from. I went ahead and deleted this video we did comparing Sokka to Jon, because I feel like it would be better to remake a video like that now that I actually know who Sokka is, because before I did not, and so, you know, I feel like that, even though it was a paid video, we probably should have denied that person on the grounds of that we hadn't watched Avatar.
You hadn't watched Avatar.
That I haven't watched Avatar, but anyways, so there was that. Katara's alright, like, I really just, I don't know, she has a nice personality, I guess, but there's nothing really, I don't know how to explain this. Like, I like her, I think she's alright, but there's nothing Zuko about her. Does that make sense?
By that you mean you don't want to fuck her?
No, I don't mean it like that.
What's Zuko?
I just mean, like, how is she going to sort of grow? Because Sokka was in this sort of place of, I don't want to say being an idiot, but being an idiot and slowly sort of getting mentally stronger.
Growing
over
more
time.
confident?
Growing more confident and sort of, you know, going...
Well, no, I'm talking about Katara. Katara grows more confident.
Well, I mean, like, with Sokka, I think it's sort of the same thing. Like, he's more confident in his intelligence. He starts to sort of broach, you know, these ideas and these plans on how to keep people safe and sort of, I don't know. Like, Sokka seems to be the strategic one, right? And I feel like as time goes on, he's sort of more confident in that ability to sort of strategize and protect and all that. But with Katara, I never saw her as unconfident. Like, when we first saw her, it seems like she's just the most static out of all of the characters right now, and that's not bad. Like, I like her. All right, she has some cool moves. Like, when she fucked up the guy, like the teacher in the last couple episodes, like, she's pretty badass. I'm just saying that there's nothing, I don't know. There's just nothing going on with her right now, and maybe that'll change later, but I think a good opportunity to do something with her would have been, like, especially when, like, Aang burned her, like, to sort of go into maybe her Fire Nation trauma and PTSD. Like, I know this is still a kid's show, but...
They do have darker moments in this show.
Exactly, and so that's what I'm sort of saying.
Past.
And that could have really related her to Zuko, because Zuko was obviously burned with fire, and I think he has some issues surrounding fire as well. And this may just be my shipping voice, I guess, but...
Do you have another voice?
If Zuko and Katara, like, ended... Like, I feel like if they ended up getting together, because in my perception, there's some tension, like, between them. There's some weird romantic tension between them, and so it's sort of like, that could have been something that have drawn them closer. Even though Zuko was on the opposite side, right, of Katara, he is still traumatized by fire like her, and that could have played a part in his redemption, but I guess we'll see that later. That's something that we could see later, right? And so it's sort of one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like they could do more with her, but they still have time, right? Like, she's a great bender. I think that she's witty sometimes too, like, especially in her lines with Sokka. She'll slam down someone. She will clap back, as the kids say.
She's feisty.
She's feisty. And so I'm not saying that I don't like her. I'm just saying she's static, and that's not necessarily bad, right? Because in stories you have characters that are static characters and don't change. Like, I feel like Iroh is sort of like that. He's the same each time that we see him.
And everyone loves Iroh.
Like, he's awesome, right?
Iroh fucks.
Exactly, and so that's not necessarily a bad thing. Or, like, there's so many Disney characters that are static and don't go through any, like, emotional development, but they don't have to, right? And so that's kind of how I see her. I see her that she's a good character, but she's not changing, and maybe I'd like her to change a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not trashing her. I don't hate her or anything, just to be clear. I just think that I want more from her than just, I guess Aang, like, even Aang, like, who I thought would be the most static, has had a lot of growth, and I guess, like, that makes sense, because you have to learn to master all these
elements. And it's also him, like, he's still a child, which I think is one of the interesting parts.
He's growing up, right?
It's like you see Aang grow up in extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah, and so for him, I thought he would be static the whole time, but he's really changing, and so that's where I'm sort of like, alright, Katara, it's your turn now. Like, you kind of been the same the whole time, but sometimes that's nice, because that also grounds the cast. You know what I mean? As opposed to everybody changing rapidly. Because Sokka's had his time, but I don't see Sokka developing anymore. Not, like, a lot. Anyway, like, I don't know, obviously, because we haven't watched the rest. But I would say, like, I think the moon thing, like, losing the girlfriend-related moon incident and just everything that he's been through, I think it's just cemented him now. I think that he's good. If he doesn't change for the rest of the show, maybe if he gets a little smarter, I'll be happy, but he doesn't need to go through some deep arc. Like, I feel like this first season has really been his arc, while Aang's is gonna be, obviously, the entire thing, and Zuko as well. And so maybe it'll be sort of like, Sokka will be this season, the next season, obviously we get to, like, Toph introduced, but I don't know how long she'll stick around, because, like, obviously all the waterbenders from this episode, like, fucked off. You know what I mean?
But Katara stays, and she was, like, deemed a master by the water.
Yeah, I mean in terms of, like, the new girl turned into the moon, and so she disappeared, right? So I don't know if Toph would stay with the main cast, but it would be kind of interesting if Aang just collects them like their relics. Like, I'm the Airbender, Katara's the waterbender, Toph's the earthbender, and now we got Zuko. You know what I mean? Like, they're Pokemon or something. So yeah, that's what I would say, I guess, character-wise. I do see Zuko getting redeemed in some capacity, just because I don't think he's the real villain. And I think that it's basically shown that the entire time. Because the real villain of this season was Zhao, and then, he saved Aang from Zhao, and so those are sort of the earliest bits of, like, him not actually
being like, does he really care about the glory of the Fire Nation?
He
or
does
is he
not.
in it just
he does
for
not
his father?
give a shit about the glory of the Fire Nation.
And his fight with Zhao and his donning, like, the blue spirit mask.
I guess the best comparison I can currently think of, and this is gonna be weird, but, like, Chloe from Miraculous Ladybug, like, she's supposed to be the mean girl, and she's supposed to be the bitch, but she's not anymore. Like, she slowly gets redeemed because there are bigger, badder people to deal with, right? So that's kind of how I see her. So, like, Chloe was, I don't want to say she was the main antagonist, because obviously Hawkmoth is, he's the great villain. I would say Hawkmoth is like the Fire Lord. Okay, in the later Miraculous Ladybug episodes, you have Mayaru, who is Natalie, that's Hawkmoth's, or Gabriel Agress's assistant, right? And so she also fights with him. That's what I see as his daughter, because I'm sure the daughter is going to be sort of relevant, while the Fire Lord will be the big bad at the end, if that makes sense. And so it's sort of like, with Chloe and then Lila, it's sort of like, yeah, Chloe's mean, but when it comes down to it, like, she'll put on her hero suit and go fight, for good, and, like, to make sure people don't die, and, like, all that other stuff. Like, Chloe's in it for herself. She kind of wants to be a hero for selfish reasons, but at the end of the day, when she sees shit going down, she's just like, well, I'm not with them, I'm gonna come over here. And so I think that's even more, again, I guess, spoilers for Miraculous, but she resists being akumatized by Hawkmoth. Because Hawkmoth is sort of like, I could give you all of this stuff, Chloe. And she's like, no! And so somebody else gets akumatized instead. That's how I sort of see Zuko, is that Zuko could be tempted by the Fire Lord, but he's like, nah, fuck this shit. I don't care about the Fire Nation. I care about me. And you were never going to accept me, were you, Dad? And so I feel like that's where we're going with that. Anyway, Hunter, if you have any pressing questions for me.
The one that you stopped me asking twice.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I wanted to save it till.
It's I mean, you know, it's for you to predict a show that's been finished for over a decade.
I know, but I enjoy doing that.
I mean, that it isn't interesting to see when someone who hasn't experienced this, what their guesses are. One thing that I would say is that, like, Avatar has such, like, a legendary reputation in anime as being, like, this amazing show. Like, do you feel like it's lived up to that in the first season?
Yes, but I think that how many things would have been similar to Avatar 10 years ago? Does that make sense? Because
it was very unique.
We sort of have things like Game of Thrones and like a lesser example, I don't want to say lesser, but less popular, like Code Geass.
But the difference between Game of Thrones and I mean Avatar is that Avatar ends really well.
Oh dear. Like obviously Avatar is a like quote unquote children's show, but it's sort of like this is gonna be, I guess, a hot take that people may not like, but I think that Avatar may have gained legendary status because there was really nothing like it. Whereas now, I don't feel like, you know what I mean? When I look at Avatar, I don't know, it's weird in my head and I don't know how to explain it, but I look at Avatar and I'm like, this gives me Code Geass vibes somehow.
But it came out before Code Geass.
I know, and so that's
so
what
there's
I'm saying.
something to say to like be the first person to do
exactly.
But
I think that's why it's legendary, but when you have me who's watching them side by side, it's sort of like, it's not as unique anymore. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying it's probably, for a lot of people, legendary status because, first of all, that's probably the first good show that a lot of people watched as kids. Okay, not dragging anyone, but kids' cartoons are like hit or miss. They still kind of are, but I think they've gotten a lot better as of recent, I would say. I'm going to make that argument my hot take. You know what I mean? Because especially, like, look at what we've got in, like, She-Ra and Gravity Falls and sort of these great, like, cartoons that adults have enjoyed, whereas, like, you know, there are some cartoons that we watch as kids, like Johnny Test, or like,
I didn't watch Johnny
you didn't
Test
watch it, or like, I don't know, like Total Drama, which was
that
the shit, but was also the shit. You understand what I'm saying?
I will defend Total Drama as holding up. One thing that I've noticed is that I went back and watched some of the original Pokemon, and that really doesn't hold up.
And so it's sort of one of those things where it's like, first of all, this probably would have been the first good show that kids have ever watched. Like, compared to the other cartoons that were on if they didn't watch anime, to be perfectly clear, right? And so I would say that, and I would also say that just now, for me looking at it, things have changed, right? People, I think, are making more great stories, if that makes sense. And not that they weren't back then. But again,
it's the argument like that we're in the golden age of TV.
Yeah!
And that was before what we now consider the golden age.
That may have started the golden age of TV, to be honest.
When people talk about it, they talk about the Sopranos, but you're gonna like galaxy brain it and be like, nah, man, Avatar.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And so I'm like, Avatar inspired a lot of different shows. Right? So if Avatar never happened, like, yeah, I think we are in sort of a golden age of anime and a golden age of TV right now. And I don't know what the dates are necessarily, but think about, like, My Hero Academia and, you know...
I would make arguments that, like, there's been anime that were about giant, like sprawling wars, like Gundam. You can make the argument. Like, that came out far before Avatar.
Yeah. I just think it's like now we watch a lot of anime and we're watching it a lot simultaneously, and Avatar and Code Geass are two of the shows that I probably have my top enjoyment right now. You know what I mean? And so it's easy to sort of like compare them in a weird way, but it is about a war. Like at the end there is a lord that hopefully will be killed, right? I'm only almost done this. Did I finish season 1? I don't remember. I don't think I finished season 1.
Are you on R2 yet?
No, I'm not on season 2 yet. I think I have 4 more episodes of season 1 to go or something like that. And so, like, it is sort of similar. Like, there's the whole point of Lelouch and what he's doing is, like, he kind of wants to go murder the king. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of similar. And free Japan and other things and sort of find out what happened to his mom. And so it's sort of a similar end goal and all of that and, like...
So I'm curious, like, I'm just gonna, like, from what I've talked about Avatar to a lot of people over the years, and, like, when it comes down to it, I think that the things that people enjoy the most of it are the characters.
Yeah.
And you would agree with the fact that the characters are strong, that they're enduring.
Because the plot is simple, right? And so
the plot is simple, but it's straightforward.
Yeah, and it's good that it's simple, right? Because it lets the characters.
It has a narrow point, it has a narrow goal, but it's wide in scope.
Yeah,
and you see a lot of the world, and that it's pretty big.
And so, like, I hope you guys understand what you mean. I'm not saying, well, Avatar is not that good if you look at it now. No, it's just more like Avatar probably paved the way for a lot of these cartoons, especially because anime was kind of already going hard. All right, anime was already a little spicy before, Avatar got here, but Avatar probably paved the way for a lot of these kids' cartoons to sort of flourish as more than just mindless kids' cartoons.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so
that's another thing people love about it, that it was a children's show, but it treated children with respect.
Yeah. And so I think we're just getting more of that. And so
it becomes
I think that's
the type of thing that can be enjoyed by everyone. And the world. People always love the world. They love the bending system. They love the mythology of it.
I think that it's nice that it has... I think that it deserves legendary status, is what I'm saying. Because even if there are things similar to it today, there weren't things similar to it like 10 years ago, and that's what's important. You know what I mean? With some exceptions, I guess.
I would make.
But you guys understand what I mean. So it definitely deserves legendary status. I'm just saying, since then, we've evolved. I think there are a lot of really good shows, but none of them are necessarily as tight. You know what I mean? Like Avatar is tight with all of its world building. Whereas, like, something, if we're gonna compare it, something like Game of Thrones kind of lost the plot, like, near the end, you know what I mean? In sort of explaining some of the magic system and some of the lore, like, I guess some of the stuff with the Night King would be the best example.
You need to, like, do some research to get the full picture.
Yeah, and so that's not nice.
We can make comparisons about Game of Thrones and Avatar because they're both, like, sprawling fantasy war stories, but really they're quite different shows.
Yeah, they are, and so it's just sort of in my, like, that's the first thing I thought of, or even Code Geass sometimes, I'm like, really? That's allowed? Okay, but I think it's sort of lame.
Code Geass has an issue sometimes that I'm like, C2 will just do a thing, and then everything is solved.
She's sort of an ex machina. Yeah. She's just like, she can't let Lelouch die, so she'll just
I got upset watching that show because people would always compare it to Death Note, but I'm like, no, because L, like, breaks it down, and it's clever how he gets out of situations. With Lelouch, a lot of the time it's just, well, I guess that happened.
Yeah.
And you're not in awe of this.
And I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying...
And it's a tall order to ask.
I think that Lelouch is very smart, but yeah, that show definitely has a, well, can't get him out of this, so C2. And sometimes that may be, like, part of the plot or part of what's going to happen later, and so it may be a calculated escape. But yeah, I think that the difference between Light and Lelouch is that I think Lelouch is intelligent, but he's also very arrogant about how intelligent he is exactly. Like, he definitely thinks that he can just take on the entire military, whereas Light knows how smart he is. And he fucks up because he's human, but he doesn't necessarily over-exaggerate his intelligence. He stays within the bounds, maybe, of what he knows what to do most of the time. Sometimes later he got a little carried away, alright? But I think that's, again, sort of like Lelouch. But yeah, I don't know. I just think, like, because to me, the greatest show ever, save for, I guess, the tragedies that happened at the very end, is Death Note. Like, I really, like, that's probably my favorite show of all time, and I know that's a basic bitch-ass answer for some of you.
But then again, so is Avatar a basic bitch-ass answer.
But, as I watch Code Geass and as I watch Avatar, I'm sort of like...
I think I like Avatar
Here's the thing. Death Note ended badly, and that's a great way to ruin any show from being in your top... first, your top one, I should say, right? And so it's sort of one of those things where it's like, how are you supposed to tell people, oh yeah, this is my favorite anime, but the last 6 episodes were bad? Or however many in Death Note, I can't remember, half
20.
of them? I don't know,
it
that's
not half of them.
And so if Avatar or Code Geass end better, then it's sort of like, these anime may not necessarily be as intense as Death Note, because I think even Code Geass, even though it's getting a little crazy, it's not Death Note level intense yet. It's getting there though. It's sort of like, even though it's not the same intensity, is it a better story?
I would argue.
And not that your favorites don't need to be rational like that, but for me, I sort of categorize it into what did I just enjoy most and have the most fun with?
Don't worry,
what are you doing?
I dropped something.
I thought it was a spider. I was just like, oh no. Like, you understand what I mean? So it's like, what do you have the most fun with versus what is actually your top one in terms of storytelling and characters and all of these categories? And I would say if Avatar wraps up nicer than Death Note, it would probably end up being Avatar.
It's not even that Death Note wraps up poorly. It's that
Death Note has some
it like
issues.
Drags for the last 20 episodes and just dies quietly.
Yeah, and so that's sort of.
But season 1, you're on board.
Yeah, season 1 with Avatar, I'm definitely on board.
And I think it's interesting that you're trying to think of the whole picture right now, because when I think of all 3 seasons of Avatar, and I mean I have seen them each a couple times, they all have a very different taste to them.
Oh boy.
They all feel very differently. So I'm curious.
Well, I am trying to look at the overarching picture, especially because we're talking about my favorite, right?
Yeah.
It has to be favorite overall, because I feel like again, being like, well, I liked the first 20 episodes of Death Note. You know what I mean? Is sort of a lame answer. Whereas with Code Geass or Avatar, there's been maybe 1 or 2 episodes which have been a little which one was it again? Where he was
Divide?
just like, I lied about everything.
Well, the divide is widely agreed to be the worst episode. So if that's the worst it gets, and it's not even that bad.
And so that's what I'm sort of saying. I'm sort of saying that for overall favorites, right? They're both leading pretty strong for me. And you guys may be like, why is she mentioning Code Geass so much? And it's because we're watching it at the same time. Right, and so it's I'm watching it at the same time, and so it's sort of one of those things where I talk about oh, Code Geass is going to be my favorite anime when it's all over, but in terms of favorite show, then you have Avatar fighting for placement, right? Because if Code Geass is best anime and Avatar is best cartoon, there can only be one. Which one? You don't even want to
get into the taxonomy argument about whether or not Avatar is an anime. We don't have the spare hours.
Oh no.
But yeah, so you're digging it. I'm interested. I'm glad.
Digging it. I'm glad that we talked about it.
You should just trust me when I tell you something's good.
Here's the thing. So
you're just full of shit.
This is scary a little bit, and so let me explain.
Yes.
Okay. When I was dating Al, he recommended me. He tried his best to get me to watch.
You mentioned Geass.
He tried.
And you were like, I don't like the character design, and you didn't watch it now. I
didn't like the art, basically. Yeah. I was like, Al, this looks stupid. And Al was just like, one day I will get my revenge. Right? And so it's sort of funny how now, he literally did. And so you, suggested Avatar.
And I also suggested Ruby, and you were like, stupid. And I had to convince you, and finally it got you to watch 3 episodes, and you were on it, and now you've made ostensibly an online career based around it.
And so with Avatar, it's I didn't put up that much resistance. I wasn't Avatar's stupid.
The first reaction we did was in the other room, and it was a year ago. You don't even remember that well, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was like, Hunter, I watched the first reaction, I hate Sokka, this looks a little...
I think we didn't watch it on Netflix at the time, we watched it on YouTube. Someone had thrown it up on
Yeah, and so it's sort of one of those things where it's when we first watch it, the first episode isn't enough. You know what I mean? To sort of get you. And so it's I just think it's funny how every one of my past relationships has suggested an anime that has come back to haunt me. Literally come back to haunt me, and now we're doing it on the YouTube channel.
I have 2 on you, frankly.
I know.
And whenever we see you suggest something to watch, it's terrible. We watched Mother recently, and it was an interesting... I'm okay with... I dig the movie now.
Let me defend myself for a quick second, because this video is getting long, but you can ignore this part if you want, okay? I wasn't like, Hunter, this movie's amazing, we have to watch it. Okay, it was both of our first time viewing, and we were both equally disappointed. It would be different. It was not a question of my taste. It was a question of me
more.
Trusting online reviews.
I was gravely
mistaken. And so that's the difference, is when I recommend things, I'm like, oh, Hunter, this new thing came out. Let's go watch it.
I just have excellent taste.
Meanwhile, you've seen it first and then recommend it to me. It's easy when you've seen something. It's not easy when you're just trusting the internet to guide you. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoy.
Viewer who's trusting the internet to guide you.
I mean, why would some people be watching a spoiler review for Avatar Season 1 if they haven't seen it?
Avatar's a classic. Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? Who knew? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Now, as I show the names of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon, I'm also going to explain the rewards that they get to you guys. Cal Pals at the $2 tier get exclusive access to video scripts, the channel release schedule, podcast a week before everyone else, a Q&A chat to ask questions for the podcast, and a name feature at the end of every video. The special reward for this tier is basically once a month, patrons of this tier will vote for us to watch the first episode of whatever anime or cartoon that has the most votes. Of course, voted by the people at this tier. The Cal tier pillars get all the same rewards, but they also get to watch our videos 1 week before they are released to YouTube in a Patreon-only reaction series. So they get their own anime or cartoon reaction series that is for them and only for them. The Cal Peons get to watch all of our videos from 8 days to up to 3 months earlier before anyone else. They get all previous rewards, of course, and they can request one video that is a non-reaction video, so a shipping video, discussion, analysis, theory, etc. There's also a version of this tier which does not have the video request in case you guys do want to support us and want that really, really early access, but don't want to request anything, just because we want to make sure that the people that are subscribed to the tier with the video request will actually use their requests. The Cal Zones have access to the Cal Zone, and similarly before, there is a tier with all the other rewards except for the video request and one with the video request. So they get all previous rewards. They can request one reaction video if they wish, or 2 discussion videos. They also get a special reward, which is the VIP chat, and during RWBY, Genlock, maybe My Hero Academia, we will do a weekly call to discuss the latest episodes. At the $40 tier, they have access to all the previous rewards, a private group chat with just Hunter and I, and they will be able to self-promote themselves in our Discord server in specific sections, whether that's their own videos or their live streams. And on this tier, if it is the tier that has the video request, they can request 2 reaction videos or 3 discussion videos. The Caltastrophes have access to all previous rewards. They get to basically play games with me when we stream, so when Pokemon or Animal Crossing comes out, we'll be able to play together. And for their special reward, they also get to collaborate with us, so we can make a video together, write the script, I'll edit it and put it on my channel, and it'll be our special project. That's one of my favorite rewards out of all of the ones that I offer, and obviously, just like all the other ones, there is a version of this reward with and without video requests, and so the one with video requests can do 4 reaction videos or 4 discussion videos to request. That is all from me, guys. Again, I hope that you guys enjoyed. Thank you to our wonderful patrons over on Patreon, and I will see you later. Bye.